Hello, my name is Alan Hughes. I'm the director of the Defiant Ones.
Punch in a little bit later.
Check.
We're talking about Jimmy and Dr. Dre.
I need something a little bit more impressive.
I thought it was important to make this movie and tell the story because I was inspired by both men myself personally. I've known both Jimmy and Dr. Dre for over 25 years, and I knew there was something there that would show us all how to focus on our gifts and talents and what makes us all so different, and to be unique and follow your dreams, you know? So I knew that about Jimmy and Dre. I didn't know, I discovered a lot along the way in the documentary, but I knew it would be incredibly inspiring for me personally. So I was interested in discovering more.
Jimmy Iovine is the levitator. Dre is the innovator.
Obviously, Dre's done a lot of innovating, especially sonically, you know? And Jimmy is kind of like the Wizard of Oz. He's just a magician, the things he makes happen for artists. You know, he's the greatest artist champion that I've ever known, and he operates behind the curtain. So this is his coming out party.
Bruce taught me a work ethic. I had to work harder than the next guy just to do as well as the next guy. And to do better than the next guy, I had to kill.
With Dre, to capture intimate moments that are natural, you have to live with them. And so I lived with Dre for a total of probably 3 months. With Jimmy, it's different. I wasn't living with Jimmy like the same way, but I was living with Jimmy in a Jimmy kind of way, you know? So there's a lot of vulnerable moments where the subjects, you see things that you don't normally see. And the number one thing I did was I've never cut the camera, even when I said cut. So all the artists, the great artists and subjects that were in this film weren't aware that the camera was on. So that was my way of trying to find the real people between the lines, you know. Of all the people I interviewed for this documentary, who surprised me the most? Jimmy Iovine surprised me the most. Because he was not a guy that ever was a spotlight guy, and he never did press. He didn't do a lot of media. Yeah, he was an American Idol as a mentor, but he was all about pushing artists and supporting artists and operating behind the curtain, like I said. And he surprised me the most because I always knew he was interesting. I always knew he was a dynamic personality. We know Dre, he's a rock star. We want to know more about Dre. But Jimmy, no one knew anything about, and you don't know if that's going to translate to film. If that dynamic person you know in real life will translate into a film. So he surprised me the most. What they taught me was identifying what your gift is or your passion and putting blinders on and just focusing on that and tuning out everything else. And that's the quickest way from A to B and being a success. Even personally, just as a human being, you know, so that's the biggest takeaway for me. And I hope audiences pick that up as well.